Start. Hello, am I audible? Okay. Hello everyone, welcome back again to our channel Coders Arcade. So I am back again, Saurav, with the Saturday live Java session, and today we will be continuing with the OOS concepts that we have learned from last Saturday. We will be going on with the next part of the OOS concepts. Okay. So anyone who is new, they will I will just give you a recap of what we have already learned. Guys, what we did was we covered the OOPS paradigm, then what did you do? We understood like importance of OOPS concepts, and then we saw the properties what we had. Then we had dug deep into some very important concepts. What were the concepts? I said class. Let's talk about them as entities or some terminologies that we learned. Okay, I will just say terminologies. These are the terminologies that we learned. We learned about classes, we learned about objects, then we learned about instances, then we learnt about references. Correct, guys. All this that we are seeing here, object, instance or reference, all are absolutely the same thing, right? The same entity can be called an object, can be called an instance, can be called a reference. Fine. So suppose I have a student. This is the class. Okay, here I have say name, age and email ID. If I am writing say Summer, Summer is the name, then I have the age say 21, then I have the email ID say something@.com. So when I create S1 as an object, this S1 will actually be a object also, it will be an instance also, it will be a reference also. So ultimately what I mean to say here is object, an instance or a reference are absolutely the same thing. Fine, got it. Now after that what did you learn? We learned how to create objects, instantiate. Okay, STANTIATE. Guys, this word that I am using here will be used n number of times, multiple number of times. Instantiate, or sometimes you will say initialize or create, same thing. When you are instantiating an object, when you are initializing an object, you are doing the same thing. Now after that, last class I showed you something very important. If you see here, I told you, and many of them who have actually followed my last video will know this. We were supposed to talk about something called a constructor. Correct? That is what we were trying to do it. So now let's do one thing. Let's try to understand and dig deep into what is actually a constructor. Okay. Guys, if you have not followed the last live session, please go ahead and do it, because that will really help you to understand about the basic OOPS concepts, and then it will be very easy to follow along in this video. Otherwise it will be difficult for you to understand, but I will still try to make you understand from scratch. Okay, so don't worry. If you are new to the channel, I will make it very simple for you to understand. Don't have to worry about that. Okay, trust me on this. I will do this, and at the same time let's do one thing. So I was supposed to talk about constructors, sorry, and before that, one request. Anybody who is new to the channel, again I am telling you, please subscribe and bring all your friends, whoever wants to study Java and move on to DSA gradually from the scratch to DSA. Please be here with me so that we can finish it up. And today I have got lots of requests from many people that they need me to speed up the process. So what I will do is, I will try to cover the concepts very easily but in a very swift manner, so that we can cover lots of concepts in one class. Okay, so that by that time you are preparing for your placements, it will be easy for you to understand the concepts also. At the same time, you will cover more concepts in less time. Got it? So if you have any doubts regarding the topics, you can post your doubts in the comment section. I will be looking at the doubts and we will be trying to cover those things also, but our most important intention should be covering more topics in less amount of time. Fine. In that way, what will happen? In 1 to 2 months, we can cover up the DSA topics also. Fine. So let's do it. So we are talking about constructors. Just see this, guys. Please remember the syntax of creating an object. Object creation. Class name, object, this is the variable name, is equal to, we use the new keyword and then create the object like this. We call the class name again, followed by a parenthesis. Remember, I have already given you the syntax. Guys, if you don't know the syntax, you have to go back to the last video. That's what you have to do. Fine. Now, for the time being, I cannot see any comments. So, I will continue with the concepts. If anyone has anything, then you can just ping me in the comment section. I will definitely solve your codes. Okay. So, now let's try to understand. See, every time when you write this class name object equal to new class name, what are you actually doing? This class name with the bracket, this parenthesis, we are calling the constructor. Okay, let's see how it happens. What I will do is, I will go back to my code from the last class and I will show you something here. See, this was the code that we wrote that day. We had name, the roll number and the email in the student class, and then we created a method called student details where we printed the name, the roll number and the email ID. After that, in the main function, you can see the instance, the object or the reference or the variable was created by the syntax. Class name object equal to new class name, right? That is what I have written here. See, same thing, correct? So, class name object equal to new class name. This is actually the constructor which is getting invoked whenever we are creating an object. Got it? Now, see, I have initialized them like this: s1.name, s1.roll number, s1.email ID. Got it? After that, s1.student details. With the object, I have called this student details function or the method, right? And you can see here, benefit. As I told you, we have understood the benefit here. What was the benefit? The benefit was reusability. After that, what did you understand? It is efficient because it saves a lot of time. Got it? So, that is why it is very, very important to understand this. Got it? Now, let us see what is actually happening. This was our source code. After that, I showed you something in the out folder. See here, in the out folder, in this, if I open this, let's open this side by side. Last class I have already discussed this. This is the bytecode. Right click, split right. You can see the difference here. See, this is my original code where I don't have anything like this, right? But in the bytecode, the dot class file which is generated after we have compiled the Java file, what happens here? You can see this public student has been created by the JVM. What is this? This is a constructor which is actually helping us to create or initialize objects of the class. Okay. So, I repeat again, a constructor is a special function or method which is always public and which helps you to initialize objects. Okay. So, let us go to the definitions of the constructor. Let me write down it here. So, I will erase this part, this is not required. It is a special method used to initialize, or you can say create, or you can say instantiate objects. Got it? Now the types I already told you. You remember the types? The types were, the first one is default. The second type, parameterized. Constructor. Okay, guys, the default constructor is also known as no argument constructor. Okay, got it? The default constructor is also known as no argument constructor, because if you see here, this has been created by the JVM and no arguments have been passed. Okay, got it? So what do you think is unique about the constructor here? There are some rules that you have to understand here. Okay, so let's go to the rules also. The definition you understood, it is a special method used to initialize or create or instantiate objects. So without the constructor you cannot create objects. So please remember, if you are not creating a constructor, the JVM or the Java virtual machine will do it for you. Okay, but if you want, you can create your own parameterized constructor. Got it? And one more important thing here is that the default constructor is known as the no argument constructor also. Got it? Now let's go to the rules of creating constructors. Rules for creating constructors. The first rule is, it is always public. It cannot be private. Okay, if you create a private constructor, you cannot invoke or initialize objects. The second rule, it is same name as what? As the class itself. And the third one, constructor does not have any return type. Okay, please remember, it is neither void, neither int, neither float, nothing. It has no return type. The fourth one. Okay, tell me, what are the other rules? Can anyone tell me anything? I'm waiting for a response. Anybody who has any other rules for constructors, you can tell me. The first thing that you remember is, if not created, who creates it? JVM generates automatically. Okay, but if we create it, what happens now? If we create, we in the sense, who is we? The user, the developer, the person who is writing the code. If he creates it or she creates it, in that case, there are two things that we have to remember. Okay, that is actually called a principle called overloading. Okay, what is overloading now? This is actually a kind of pillar of object oriented programming. Guys, there are 4 pillars actually. What are the 4 pillars? The number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4. Inheritance, abstraction, encapsulation, and then comes polymorphism. Okay, out of that, overloading is a type of polymorphism. Okay, so whenever we are creating parameterized constructors on our own, we have to remember 2 things. How can we overload the constructor? Okay, sorry, how can you overload the constructor. So you just have to remember this. Okay, I will give you examples, don't worry about this. When you were doing parameterized constructor overloading, the first one is, can anyone tell me? Yeah, hi sir. XYZ sir, does Java is purely object oriented language? Java is not a purely object oriented language, okay? Because it has 8 primitive data types XYZ. It has 8 primitive data types: int, char, float, long, double, byte and short. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and what else is there? Int, char, byte, short, double, long, boolean. Yeah, all these 8 primitive data types are there in Java. That's why it is not a purely object oriented language. Fine. Now you can take out all the 8. Have I missed anything? Can you tell me? Have I missed anything? XYZ or anyone who is listening? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have missed one. Tell me. Which one have I missed? Come on, anyone, tell me. This happened in one more class also. Who can tell me? Double is there, float is there, byte is there, short is there, int is there, character is there, long is there. Anything is missed? Nobody is saying anything. I am waiting for a response. Come on guys. You think about this. By the time I will write this. If we create our own constructor, then it is called a parameterized constructor. There we have to change the number of parameters, or we will change the data type of the parameters. Got it? Now let's see how to do it. Anyone? Nobody has told the answer. I'm still waiting. I will wait for this. Okay? You have to tell me. There are 8 primitive data types. Out of that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 has been written. What is the last one? Who will tell me? This is integer, byte short, int char, float double, long and what? Boolean. The Boolean data type, B only. Okay? Yeah. Boolean or byte, absolutely. Very good XYZ. Now let's go to this. Here what I will do is I will create a simple class to show you how constructors work actually. Okay. So I will write something like this. Right click. I will create a new package called constructors, and inside that let me create a Java class called constructor, so that you can really understand the meaning of overloading. Okay. See, this is my class constructor. Here I will have two simple values, int x, int y. Fine. After that, what I am trying to do, just see. I will take the public constructor, same name as the class, and then what I will do, I will just say int a comma int b, then I will write x is equal to a, y is equal to b. Fine. One more I am taking, I am saying public constructor, giving a bracket. Here I am just writing x is equal to 10 and I am saying y is equal to 10, for example. Okay. So I have, but you see here guys, I cannot create one more constructor with the same type of data. If I say public constructor and give a bracket and do it like this, see, same name constructors cannot exist inside the class. That's why I told you about that concept. The concept was what? If you want to use polymorphism or that overloading concept, you want to have the same name constructors, you have to change the meaning or the definition or the signature of the constructor. How do you do it? Either you change the number of parameters or you change the data type of the parameters. Okay. So now just see here what is happening. The first constructor I am taking x equal to 10, y equal to 10. Got it? The second constructor I will just do this. Say suppose, yeah, let me copy this from here and write it at the bottom, paste. So here I have int a, int b. Now if I write again the same thing, int a comma int b, it will not work. See, now the signature again becomes the same. So this has a clash. The JVM does not understand this. Now what can you do? As I said, you can either change the data type here. Say I am writing float. See, now there is no clash and it is absolutely fine. Got it? So either you change the return type of the parameters or you change the number of parameters. Here there is no parameter, here there are two parameters of int and int, here there are two parameters but the data type is changed. Got it? So this is how you can do constructor overloading, which is a part of polymorphism in object oriented programming. Okay. So yes, the question arises, can you have multiple constructors in our class? We can have multiple constructors in our class, and that phenomena or that process is called constructor overloading, and it is done by two ways. These are the two ways, either change the number of parameters or change the return type of the parameters. Fine. After that, I think someone is saying hello. Hi Papu, someone says. Okay, now let's do one thing. Let's say our x variable is equal to a and y variable is equal to b. But what is the data type of our variable x? It is integer, sorry, y. Y is an integer, right? What am I trying to insert inside that integer? Can you see here? Inside an integer data type, I am trying to insert a float data type. So what is this concept called? Can we accommodate? Imagine like this, I am giving you a very simple scenario. I have a bag of, someone told me about this concept, right? Someone had commented about this. It was something called typecasting. Okay. So here you go. This is the typecasting concept coming up here. Okay. I have a 10 kg bag. Can I put 50 kg cement inside this? Possible. I have 10 kg. Can I put 50 kg inside this? It is not possible. I have a 50 kg bag, which is 50 kg. Can I put 10 kg inside it? Absolutely yes, this is possible. Got it? So inside a larger bag I can put smaller quantity. Larger bag, smaller quantity can be put, but inside a smaller bag I cannot put larger quantity. So there are two types of typecasting. The first one is called narrowing casting. The second one is called widening casting. Got it? So narrowing casting is called explicit, widening casting is called implicit. Got it? So very easily remember this, I am telling you. When you have x, it is externally. When you have I, it is internally. So externally who will do it? User. Internally who will do it? The JVM will do it. Okay. So now let's make it more easier for you to understand. In explicit casting, narrow. Narrow means from a bigger data type to a smaller data type. So I will say bigger to smaller. Okay. Say from float to int I am saying. Got it? Say I have 2.0, I am converting that to int, it will be 2. Got it? So if it was 2.5 and then I am converting it to 2, what is actually happening? Can you tell me, anyone? We are having loss of data because the decimal part is gone. So, in case of narrowing casting, we can have loss of data. And in case of widening casting, what happens? I have 2, I am converting that to 2.0. There is no loss of data, but we are accommodating some extra space because integer data type size is 4 bytes, float data type size is 8 bytes. Okay. So, obviously, the 4 byte data type cannot hold 8 bytes. That is why we have to do type conversion. Got it? But in case of integer to float, I do not have to do any type conversion. That is it about typecasting, guys. Okay. In case of Python, the same thing is called explicit and implicit. In case of Java, it is called casting, narrowing casting and widening casting. Clear? So, now because I have an integer data type here, I cannot pass a float data type inside that. Correct? I cannot use float. So, how do I do typecasting? I simply write in the bracket int. There is no error now. Got it? Understood? So, this is what kind of casting? Implicit or explicit? I have manually done this. So, it is implicit typecasting or explicit? Tell me. It is done by the user. It is explicit. Hope you have understood this. Guys, this is a very important concept. A smaller data type cannot hold a larger data type. So, therefore, we have to do typecasting. 2 types, implicit and explicit. Implicit done by the JVM, explicit done by the user. Hope you have understood this. Okay. Sir, is function overloading different from constructor overloading? Absolutely different. Yes, it is totally different. Function overloading is something like, see, constructor is also a function only, right? It is a method to create objects. If you create a function, that is also a little bit of concept, different kind of concept. So, that can be done. Say, suppose I am saying, we will be learning about this even in deeper in the polymorphism part, okay. But here I am just giving you an example. Say, I have void add. Add function can add a comma b. Void function can add a comma b comma c. Doesn't matter. So, they can be inside the same class. Say, I have a class called add. Inside that I can have void one more add also, a comma b comma c comma d also. So, this takes 2 arguments, this takes 3 arguments, this takes 4 arguments. Does it matter? It does not matter, as long as the signature, this signature is different. This is called function overloading. Constructor, there you are changing something in the constructor, so it is constructor overloading. Ultimately, the concept is same. What are you doing? And I can have one more void add, a double d. This will be empty. Here it takes 0 arguments, does not matter. Understood? So, always remember, number of parameters will change or the return type of the parameters will change. Hope you have understood this. Okay. Now, let us get back to our work and try to finish off that code that we have written. Okay. Now, I have this constructor where it is initializing the variables to 10 and 10. Okay. Let us not take 10 in both of them, let me take 20. Okay. After that, there is one more constructor. What does it do? It changes our values to some value given by the user, int a comma int b. And the third one, what does it do? It takes int a and float b, then it stores them into the variables x and y. Now, let us do one thing. Let us create our main function and then create the objects. So, I am saying class name is constructor only, constructor C1 first constructor equal to new constructor. Okay. Now, for the first one I am not passing any parameters. Can you guys tell me which one will be invoked? See here, this has nothing. So, based on this you can see this is actually highlighted in blue. Okay. I have just changed the theme of the IDE to make you understand this. Okay. Just see here what happened. As soon as I call this constructor, the blank constructor is getting invoked. Got it? So depending on the data that I am passing, that constructor is getting called. Similarly, if I say constructor C2 is equal to new constructor, but here say suppose I am passing 1 comma 2, now automatically you see this second constructor also gets highlighted. Got it? So depending on the type of data that the user is passing, now here I am the user, whatever I am passing, that constructor is getting invoked. Got it? Now let's go to the third one. Constructor C2 or say C3 is equal to new constructor. Now let's call the float one 1 comma 2.5, but here you please remember any decimal data is double data type by default. So I have to write what? I have to write a F here. Got it? Then only it is going to work, otherwise it will not work. Got it? So now see guys, depending on the signature, here it is empty. So for the first time it is calling the first one, for the second one it is calling the second one, for the third one it is calling the third one. So all the three constructors are calling different type of constructors that we have created in our class. Hope this is giving a good idea about how to use constructors of a class. Okay, got it? Now let's do one thing. I will just say s out c1 dot x plus, I will give a space, plus c1 dot y. Okay. Similarly, let me print the same thing in the next one also. Copy, paste. This will be c2 dot x and this will be c2 dot y. And the last one, let me again paste this here. This is c3 and this will be c3. Okay. Now based on this, the output of the first one should be, according to me, it should be 10 comma 20, the default values that we have assigned here, right? See this 2. Okay, and the second one should be how much? 1 comma 2 that we had here, and the last one will be what? Do you think the float value will be printed? The float value will not be printed, it will be 1 and 2 only. Okay, so it should be 1 and 2 because we have done narrowing casting. See, the float data type has been again converted to integer. Got it? So it should be 10 20 1 2 and 1 2. Let's run this and check. See, you got it? Understood? So we have 10 20 1 comma 2 and 1 comma 2. So guys, if you have any doubts regarding constructors, you can tell me in the comment section, but I hope whatever we have learned till now is very clear to you. Okay, anything you have, you can just feel free to do that in the comment section. Okay, now let's do one thing. Now that we have understood about constructors, let's do one very simple thing. I'll go back to my earlier file. You can see here the student file that we had. What was the problem with this? Every time we create an object here, what were we doing? We were manually putting this data, right? The name, the roll number and the email. Similarly, for the second object also, you can see name, roll number, email. We are doing it manually. Now that we know about constructors, what we can do is we can force the user to do all these things in the constructor itself. Okay, so we can create a parameterized constructor which will actually force the user to do the same thing inside the constructor while object creation. Okay, let's see the same thing now. Now rather than touching this file, what I will do is I will create a new class called say employee. Okay, and then here let's start doing the same thing. So here now we know how to use a constructor. So I'll say public employee bracket. Okay, and let's take three simple parameters. I am taking string name, string email, and say for example what should I take? I will take the int id, employee id. Okay, this three I am taking. So now because I need to pass this to the object creation part, what I will do is I will use the same things here, string name comma string email comma and int employee ID. Got it? Now what happens? I have to see, this is a function. This is just like a function, right? It is a function to create objects. Sound problem. Someone says sound problem. Okay. Just a moment, guys. Do you still have the sound problem? You can let me know, or if it is okay, then you can continue. Is everything okay, guys? Please tell me. Then you can continue. Yeah, Pappu says he has understood. Welcome, Pappu. Just waiting for the confirmation so that there is no sound problem, so that you can continue. And in the meantime, I will just drink a sip of water. Okay, sorry. Okay. Yeah, okay. I feel there is no problem now. Everything is fine. Let me just take confirmation from my team. Milan. Okay. Check. Hello, check. Yeah, fine. Is it okay? Yeah, fine. Okay. So let's do one thing. I hope everything is fine now. So what I said is, I have created a constructor where I am passing the name, the email and the employee ID. Fine. And what I will do, whatever the data is passed by the user while creating the object, those data should be passed on to these variables. These are called what? These are called instance variables. Correct? Instance variables, in the sense, whatever object is created, to each object these three variables will be assigned, right? These are the attributes or the properties. They are also called instance variables. So now, for the time being, I will just write down a very special keyword here. You don't have to worry about this if you don't understand. Actually, the keyword name is only this. Okay, so I will write like this. Just see, this dot name is equal to name. Then I will write this dot email is equal to email, and the last one is this dot employee ID is equal to employee ID. You don't have to bother about serial number here, guys, but can any one of you tell me what is the purpose of writing this keyword here? I will come to that, don't worry, but for the time being, let's not focus on this. We will understand this properly. Let's try to write down the thing. Okay. After that, we have created the constructor. Let's now jump on to the method. So public void employee details. Here I am just saying s out name and plus, say I am writing what, this dot name s out. I am writing what, the second one is email, right? Plus this dot email and s out. I am writing emp id plus this dot emp id. Fine. So only thing is, we have used one new keyword here, that is the this keyword. Fine. So now let's go back to our main function and do the same thing. Class name object equal to new class name. The class name is employee. Employee E1 is equal to new employee. Fine. So here you can see now the name, the email and the ID has to be passed in the constructor itself. Got it? That is the benefit. Rather than doing it manually, E1 dot name equal to this, E1 dot email equal to this, we are doing it in the constructor itself. So guys, understood the flow? We have started from the basic thing where we did it manually here. See here, We did it manually here, right? We did it manually, e1 dot name, s1 dot name, likewise. But in this case, the constructor is doing this for us. So here what I will do, I will just say Saurav and say the second one is what? I guess it is the email ID, right? So I will say Saurav, or let's write our official email ID only. Fine. And the third one is the employee ID, say 101 for example. It can be anything. And now with this I will just say e1 dot employee details. Let's call this function and see the output. Got it? See guys, Saurav, email ID and the employee ID. Got it? Now you might be thinking like, where is the this keyword even working? In the earlier one, even without the this keyword, it was working fine, right? Absolutely fine. But there you did not see one thing. Everywhere manually taking the object, we were assigning the values. So the JVM knows about this, that okay, the S1 object has a name parameter which is been updated to Saurav. The S2 parameter or the S2 object has a name parameter which has been updated to Ashank. So here the JVM knows because we are explicitly doing this. But in the object creation part here, we have not done anything like this, right? We have not done anything like this. See, I am just writing the object, I am creating the object and then I am passing the parameters. So now, let's say I create one more employee like this. Let me copy up this stuff, 1 second. Let me copy something like this. The whole thing I will copy, okay? Copy and paste. This is E2 and let me write say Ashank. HA, okay, and the email ID is same. Let me say the employee ID is 102. Now run this. Now you can see here, okay, sorry, I think I called E1 dot employee details. It should be E2 dot employee details. Now see this, guys. See, even though I am not manually typing E1 dot name, E2 dot name, the constructor understands, the JVM understands that when I am calling according to E1, it should give me the data of E1. When I am calling according to E2, it should give me the data of E2. See, how does it understand? That is being understood by the use of the this keyword. So what is the use of the this keyword here? The this keyword is actually used to point to the calling object. Okay? There are two uses of the this keyword. The most important uses, I will write it here, okay? This keyword is used to refer to the current class calling object. Okay, whichever object is calling, say E1 is calling, the this will be replaced by E1. If E2 is calling, the this will be replaced by E2 and so and so. Okay, that is the very important use of the this keyword here, because that is why this here is replaced by E1. When E2 calls, this keyword here is replaced by E2. I hope you understood this. The same concept is there in Python where we write self, the self argument or the self parameter. Got it? So that is how it works. Understood? So now I hope you have understood how to use this. Now I have a very important thing to discuss here. Say I myself, Saurav and Ashank, we both work in the same company, Coders Arcade. So now let's try to add one more attribute called company. Okay, we will try to do the same thing. We will try to create an attribute called company. So what I will do, I will write like this. See, string company and we both belong to the same company, right? So then what can I do? The same process if I follow, I can write like this. See, I can say comma string company. Okay, then I can write this dot company is equal to company, correct? And then what I will do, here I will write s out company plus this dot company, got it? And then here I have to update this thing, say I am writing coder circuit. The same thing I have to do here also. So let me copy the same thing, copy and go back here, comma, and paste this. So there is no error. Understood? Is it working? Now if I run this, let's see what happens. I should get the company details also. See, Saurav, the mail ID, the employee ID, and then the company. And again Ashank, the mail ID, the employee ID, and the company. We can create multiple objects like this. But do you think this kind of writing the code is efficient? Because there is a common parameter called company. So if I am doing it again and again, it is really not an efficient way of writing the code. What can we do? Can anyone tell me what can be done here? I am waiting for a response. Anyone tell me what can be done? I am waiting for a response. What can be done? Because it is a common parameter, what can be done? Anyone? If you don't know, I will just tell you one thing. Remember, make it static, because every object will get this parameter, and just write an equal sign and assign that value. What was the value? It was coder's arcade. And suppose the employee's company is not going to change, then you can also use the final keyword. Okay, final keyword. What does that mean? Why are you making it static? So that you don't need to create any object to access this. Okay, the first thing. The second thing, why is it final? The final keyword is the same as the const keyword in C++ or C language or Java, you can say. Fine. So that's why think that it is not going to change. So in that case, I am making it final. Say suppose for a student, when the student is studying engineering, the college will not change, right? In normal cases, it will not change, but in some cases it might change, but we are not bothered about that, correct? So in that case, what we can do is, we can just write like this, and then you can remove this company from here. It is not required. And I think XYZ said separate constructor. No XYZ, we should not be creating one more constructor, because that will not be good for the efficiency of the program. You have to also look at the efficiency of the program also. Okay. So what we can do is, we can write like this, and then we can remove this from here. Fine. Because it is static, we can remove this keyword from here, and you don't have to even write this manually, because see, what is the most important principle of programming? We people tend to forget this very important thing. It is DRY. Don't repeat yourself. If any day your manager finds you repeating the stuff you were doing, your job is at risk. That's why people, MNCs are firing candidates, because they need efficient people, not people who are just writing code. You have to be very smart while writing the code. Okay. So don't repeat yourself is the most important principle of engineering. So here I am repeating myself multiple number of times. See how many times I have written. If I create 1000 objects, for 1000 objects I will be writing coder's arcade. That is not a good practice. So rather than that, what we can do is, we can remove this coder's arcade from here, and we have already written that there. So let it be like that. Okay. Now run this and see what happens. See, we are getting the same thing. Does it matter? It really matters a lot, because it will create a more efficient way of writing the code. Hope you have understood this. Got it? So if anything is not changing, make it final. Guys, there are lots of other applications of the final keyword. We'll come to that, don't worry. And at the same time, you make it static, so that it is easily accessible without even having to create an object. Got it? And then you can easily make the code more efficient. Got it? Any parameter that is commonly assigned to all the objects, I am writing it again, I am telling it again, make it static, and if it is not changing, make it final. Got it? That way you are not even having to forcefully write the same thing again and again in the constructor. Now I hope the constructor concept is very clear. Yes? Now one more very important question. We will wind up with that question today, but let me just discuss that question first of all. Okay. This will be the last topic for today and we will wind up, but before that let me just write down the question for you. What is the use of the this keyword in Java? Illustrate the use by taking an example and also show what happens when we don't use it. Got it? So the first part, what is the use of the this keyword in Java? This keyword points to the what? The this keyword, it points to the current class object. Okay, it can be current class object, it can be current class method. Anything related to the current class is referred by the this keyword. Okay, and the second part, how to show it with an example. Let's take a very simple example for us to understand this better. I have done this thing in many colleges, so I will just give you this trick so that you can also understand, because in the face-to-face rounds of technical company interviews, they ask this a lot of times and people really tend to forget this. Okay, so let's do it. So I am going back here and just doing something here. Okay, so I'll just right click and say create a new Java class called this keyword. Fine. So here I will keep it very simple. Try to understand what I am doing. What I am doing is I am taking an integer variable int I. Okay, and then let's do something like this. I am having void change and I am taking an integer x and I am writing I is equal to x. Okay, and then I am just creating one more function called display, where I am saying s out the value of I is plus I. Okay, and then let me just go to the main function and create the object so that you can also understand what is happening. So I will create the object of this keyword t1 is equal to new this keyword. Fine. Now I will say t1 dot change, say let's do one thing first of all, int I is equal to, let's say, fine, let's not give any value. I am saying, what can we do here? Okay, I can change I equal to x, change, let me say 10. Okay, and then I am saying t1 dot display. It's a very simple code, guys. You tell me the output. I am waiting for an answer. Tell me the output. I have a variable I where I am taking a change method where I am passing x. This x is 10 here. This 10 is coming here. This 10 is being copied into I. What will be the output? If I run this, it should be 10, right? Because we have changed it. See, it's very simple, right? The value of I is 10. No problem at all. The problem is not arising because of one very simple reason. Because here the variable name is I and here the variable name is x, right? But what if there is the same name variable here and here? What will happen? For example, I am writing I here and then I am writing I here. Now can you tell me the answer? Think and tell me the answer. Who can tell me the answer? It is int I am writing, I am taking I here and here I am passing 10. Same thing should happen, right? This 10 should be going here, 10 should be coming here and 10 should be coming here. But no, the answer is not correct. The problem is this line is a redundant line. The JVM does not understand this line. I equal to I. What is I equal to I? Which I is equal to which I? It does not understand. When the JVM does not understand this, it will give you the default value. What is the default value of integer? 0. Just see this. If I run this, the value of I is 0. In this kind of scenarios, you will end up losing your marks because you will not understand what is happening. So, in that case, guys, one moment, we will just change the battery and come back. Just one moment, okay? Okay, we are back, I guess. So, you understood this. Yeah, XYZ has given the answer actually, very good. Whenever there is a class of variables in this kind of a scenario, it will always give you the default value of integer. Whatever data type we have, we can have string also, string will be null, boolean will be false, character will be what? Null character, obviously, right? So, these are the default values that you have. In that case, here it is not understanding. So, it is giving you the default value. So, now how do you solve this problem? The problem is this keyword. So, when you write this dot I, it will refer to this particular variable. Now, see, as soon as I write this, the color will change. See, if I say this dot I, automatically this becomes red color, this becomes red color. That means the color combination shows that this is actually referring to this variable, right? So, that is how you understand this. Got it? So, this keyword refers to the current class instance variable. Okay, that is how we solve this problem. Now, if you run this, you will get what? You will get the same thing, 10. Similarly, if I have one more object, let me take one more object here, so that I can clarify this. Say I am having T2 and say here I am writing 12, and then if I write T2 dot change and T2 dot change, T2 dot display, see the output, one will be 10 and one will be 12. That is the benefit of having this keyword. This keyword removes a very important thing from our code. What does it remove? It removes ambiguity. Ambiguity is removed. Ambiguity means what? Very simple terms, it is called confusion. The confusion from our code is removed. The JVM easily understands what is going on. That is why we need the this keyword. Got it? Guys, this was a very important concept which is very frequently asked in the interviews, and people, they tend to ignore. They go to some other very important concepts and they say this is not at all important. Now, I guess you have seen the importance of this keyword, right? Got it? So, this is how it works. So, this keyword refers to the current class instance variable. It can be the object also, it can be the methods also. Now, there is one more very important keyword which is the super keyword. Okay, the super keyword. The super keyword is used for parent class objects or parent class function. Sorry, not supers, it is super. Okay, so guys, I hope you have liked this session and you have understood what is going on. In the next session, what we will do is we will go on to the advanced concepts and then we will be starting on with the pillars. All the 4 pillars will be starting. Okay, and in Java, I don't know about other languages how you study. In Java, you should be always starting with this. Whenever you are learning the 4 pillars, always start with encapsulation. Then you can move on to inheritance. Okay. Then after this, you should move on to abstraction. And finally, you should go on to polymorphism. And then there is one more very important concept that people tend to forget. It is association. Okay, that also we'll be talking about. And with that, we'll be finishing off our root concepts. Okay, so the next target will be our 4 pillars. Okay, and guys, stay tuned. We'll be having exception handling also. That is also a very important concept. Fine. So this is the order of learning in case of Java. You can take any other order, but this is the best order that we follow for understanding things. Fine. So I hope you have liked the session and you have enjoyed this. If you really have any doubts, the comment section is yours. Anything, any silly doubt, please don't hesitate to ask them. And till the next video, this is Saurav signing.